Welcome back everybody, Mark here, and today we're going to go ahead and do some more work with variables. So this is lesson 3 of our Liberty Basic Programming tutorial. I hope you guys are liking the series so far. I know we're just getting into it, we're just learning about it, but I'm going to keep it going. So if you don't like this video, the next one is coming and hopefully you like that one. So we started out by doing output to the main window, and then lesson 2, we started outputting some math to the main window. So now we're going to do some more work with variables. This leads us up to our graphics window. So first we'll do some variables in this lesson, then the next lesson we're going to actually do something with the UI and really start getting into the meat of programming. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're actually going to declare 3 integer variables and 1 string variable. So if you guys remember in lesson 1 we kind of talked about variables a little bit more, but here we go. We're actually going to do, so we'll say hero frame. We'll have this equal 1. Now what hero frame might be, it might be the drawing of our character later on. We might have 3 frames for our hero, so we might have to cycle through all 3 frames so he walks and looks very smooth on the screen. We also are going to need to know where our hero is on the screen, so hero X, and let's just start him out at 512, so he's going to be 512 pixels across the screen, so he's going to be right about here on our screen. And then we're going to have him down about 345. Now in this tutorial we won't see any graphics, but I'm just kind of giving you guys a heads up on why we'd want these variables. So hero X and hero Y. Let's set this to 345. So that would be the starting spot of our hero. So if it was like a Final Fantasy game, an old RPG style, he'd start in that position. Maybe it was on the edge of a castle, and he'd be walking around the forest. And our last variable, our string variable, is going to be hero direction. So maybe we want to know which way he's facing. Maybe our default position has him facing right, so he's looking to the right. So if we were to go ahead and run this program, it wouldn't show us anything. We wouldn't see anything. I can go ahead and hit run. We get a main window, but there's nothing in it because we didn't print anything. But we're just showing the variables. So we did our 3 integer and our 3 string variables. So now what we want to do is go ahead and add a few more variables here. So let's do even more with our variables. So we're going to actually have 3 variables. We're going to have our first name and our last name, and then our full name. Then what we're going to do is we're going to concatenate them, which simply means we're going to link the variables together. Let's go ahead and do our 3. So let's do first name. This is just to teach you guys more about variables. Our first name, let's say it's hero, and then let's do our last name, and let's have that, I don't know, of the year. So we're hero of the year. Pretty cool. And let's go full name. Now full name, we're actually going to have it be an empty variable. So it's not going to actually show anything. Now we can do double quotes. We could also put a space there, but either way it'll work. So it's just an empty string variable. So let's go ahead and print out the first name to the screen. So print. This will print it to the main window, and we're just doing some nice formatting here once again so we know we're actually printing to the main window. So first name, and we'll go ahead and print out last name. So first name, last name, and then we'll just print a blank line. So if we were to go ahead and run this, you can see our first name is hero and our last name is of the year. I know, kind of lame, but whatever, it's a good example. So let's go ahead and and concatenate them. Let's go ahead and tie them together, link these two variables together. So what we can do is use our variable full name, so full name equals our first name plus our last name. So we're actually going to link them together. Pretty cool, right? So let's print this out to the screen. Full name So here's our full name, and let's go ahead and run this. And you see how, okay, hero, and then it's of the year. But you can see how hero of the year looks haroof of the year, haroof the year. And that's because we don't have a space in there. So we could fix this one of two ways. We could actually put a space up here where last name is, so of the year, put a space there. If you guys can see where I'm moving it. But that's really not the best way, because you don't want to have to remember that weird formatting. So what we can do is when we're adding the two, or concatenating the two variables together, we can actually do this. So first name, add a blank space in between them, last name. So now if we run this, we can see hero of the year. And it's a little bit cleaner because we can look and say, okay, we're spacing those two variables, those two string variables. This makes it a lot clearer. You don't have to remember, oh, I got to put a space in there or a space here. Formatting, when you're doing with text, formatting sometimes can take you a little time. I think I spend a lot of time messing around with formatting of text than I do with a lot of programs. So that's how we'd actually concatenate two string variables. So now we can actually do even more with variables. And I know this lesson is going to get kind of long, but I think it's good it all ties together. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and declare another variable. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and have this variable damage. It's going to be a string variable. Say +2. I'm an old Dungeons and Dragons player, so we might have +2. But what we can do is we can actually convert these. We can convert them over to actually integers. And what we'll do is let's go ahead and just print this out real quick. Print, say string variable. This will be my whole first lesson of string variables. So we'll say damage. So if we were to run this, see string variable +2. Looks kind of neat. So you might say later on, okay, let's just space this out a little bit like this. So we might need that +2 because we're printing out some data to the screen. We're saying, okay, that hero gets a +2 bonus to his damage. So you can't do just a regular +2, we have to actually do a string. Let's say we need to take that damage and turn it into a value so we can use it in our program. So we need to take that +2 and add it to some other value. So then what we do is we create a variable, let's call it damage, DMG. Let's convert it to a value. So we're going to use this nice function, value. We're going to pass in damage, our string variable. Here we go, damage equals value. We're going to convert damage to an integer value, DMG. And let's go ahead and print that out to the screen. Main window, excuse me. Right terms here. String, say variable. So we know what we have on the screen. and then we'll just print out damage. So if we run this, we can see here's our string variable, it's a +2, but then we can see we converted that string variable to an integer variable. So now we could use it for overall damage. So say we had an overall damage multiplier. Whenever our hero would attack, his base attack is say 4, but now he has this bonus, so now it's 6. So we could add this to that base attack to get our 6 for the damage. Hopefully that makes sense. But then what we can do is we can actually go the other way. So we're printing out more text. So let's go here. Let's print a blank line here. Let's show you that we can actually convert integer values to string variables. So let's do another variable, integer, as 4, and then we'll just print it out so that we know that it's not changing. Bonus image. So if we were to run this right now, let's just do this. If we were to run this right now, you see it's an integer variable of value of. So let's go ahead and convert that to a string. So we need to make another variable string. So bonus, which is a string variable. And now we're going to convert it to a string. So we're going to use this function, str $. We're going to pass in bonus damage. These are built-in functions to be basic. Just have to call them and pass in the values that you want to convert. So variable converted. String variable. And then we'll say bonus. We're going to print bonus to the screen. Now if we were to go ahead and run this, we can see integer variable 4, and we can see integer variable converted to string is 4. But let's go ahead and show you that it's a string variable. So what we could do is we could actually go ahead, let's do this. See what I don't want to, but let's put a plus sign here. Now let's go ahead and run it. So now you can see it's +4. So it looks better. But it's still a string variable, so we could add that to a +4. So we could have a string variable that just holds a plus sign, and we could add those two together and it would be +4. You can't add integer and a string variable together. It's a type mismatch, so you'll get a type mismatch error. Same thing, you can't add a string to an integer back and forth. So to be able to add types together, they have to be of the same type or you'll get a type mismatch. And Liberty Basic will tell you that right down here in the bottom left hand. But I hope you guys found that useful. If you liked the video, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next lesson, guys.